Everyone's talking about what the Pac-12's got to do to make the playoffs at this point, and a lot of those scenarios involve Utah winning the South Division. But the Utes have their handful this weekend at Washington, and in fact, I think this is going to be one of the big upsets in Washington beating Utah at home. Why? Because of that Washington defense. This is a unit Pete Kwiatkowski has done an unbelievable job with these guys. They lost a lot of talent to the NFL after last year. It looked like a total rebuilding job, but they have been more than competitive in the Pac-12. They got that big win earlier this year at USC. And as far as Utah goes, Travis Wilson, the quarterback, I think he's going to struggle on the road. I think they're going to throw a lot of different looks at him. He doesn't take care of the football. This is going to be another big building block type win for Chris Peterson and the Washington Huskies. Well, we're to the point in the season where it's almost inevitable some of these undefeated teams are going to start to fall by the wayside, and one that I think is a really good candidate this weekend is Iowa. This is an interesting game for them at Indiana. These are not your father's Hoosiers. They're pretty good. They can score points, and they seem to play up to their level of competition. You saw them push Michigan State for 3 quarters. You saw them take Ohio State right to the wire, and I think they're back on their way up. They're fighting for bowl eligibility. And it just seems like Iowa at some point has got to regress back to the mean. They've been good but not overwhelming. And I think that Iowa is going to really try to use some tempo on them. And if they can dictate the pace of the game, Indiana is going to win. Even though Texas A&M got that big victory last weekend over South Carolina, I actually am going to go ahead and pick Auburn as my big upset. I think this is an Auburn team finally hitting their stride, finally peaking and ready to break through and get an SEC win with Sean White as the quarterback. I think White is settling in nicely. They're finally getting some carries for Javon Robinson. And on defense, getting Carl Lawson back has been huge. They've actually been really competitive the last couple weeks. They had Arkansas in 3 overtimes before losing, and they really pushed Ole Miss right to the wire last weekend. Still not sure about Texas A&M if they've got those quarterback issues figured out. So I think this is a great spot for Auburn to get their season back on track. Well, everyone thinks Ohio State's got all the answers now, but they're going to be starting Cardale Jones this weekend against Minnesota. And I'm not going to go ahead and predict that Minnesota pulls the upset, but I do think Ohio State is going to be in for a fight. This one is going to go down to the 4th quarter. And the main reason is just emotionally. You've got a Minnesota team fighting for their coach, Tracy Claeys, who's there on an interim basis. He's trying to get that job permanently. There's a lot of momentum going that direction. And I think one more good performance against a quality team will do it for him. And I think Minnesota is going to show up and play hard.